Hello, friends, and welcome to FTN TV. This really is FTN TV, even though it looks weird and it's coming out on a weird day. And I'm not in a car, I'm in my office, and I don't have any hair. Just all sorts of things going on, but this really is FTN TV. I wanted to get a video out because we've got so much going on this week. There's new pages coming out. I know some of you are gearing up because the NGS conference starts soon. It starts this week. Right? Yes. No, it's next week. It's next week. But people are arriving and people are traveling and things like that. And I don't know, those of you who have kids in your life, I went to a conference for mom entrepreneurs and bloggers at the beginning of this month, that's actually not where I got sick, but traveling and everything, I think it's just prolonged how long I haven't had a voice. And everybody was talking about Maytember as being the new dreaded mom month because September always has a ton of back to school stuff. December always has a ton of holiday stuff. And Maytember is when you have all of the end of school stuff. And we're definitely feeling that. I have 3 who all have end of the year things, including one who's promoting to a new school. And yeah, it has just been really, really busy. So because I've got a ton of stuff going on, I just wanted to take this opportunity to check in with you guys and talk to you and give you some updates and then talk about something that's a little, I don't think it's necessarily unusual for me. I feel like I talk about personal stuff on here, but is a little different, I guess, than just talking about the normal pages. I'm not going to go into the new pages. I'm not going to go in and explain them all. I'll probably have samples and things like that in social media posts. I'm just going to put the new pages up and then these pages are all pretty self-explanatory. I did want to say I am getting back through the request list. I was going to call it something else, but so the hard thing with the request list is that it's so deep. There's so many requests on it that, like, if somebody requests a page now, I'm probably a solid year away from making that page if I go in order. So what I decided to do, because I have a calendar of when these new pages are coming out each month, I'm going to do like 10 pages every month, 5 to 7 of which are going to come right off of the request list, but then I'm going to leave space each month for newer requests that come up that I think would be really popular, things that I designed for myself, things that I realized I've designed for myself and I forgot to share with you. So go ahead and keep requesting pages and you may be surprised at how quick I can get to them. And for those of you who requested pages in 2020 and I still haven't made them, they're not off my list. It's a big list. Somebody also asked for an update on the pages. I said that I was going to make some pages for Canva and put up some videos showing you how to use them. I still am going to do that, but those are going to be different than the usual Family Tree Notebooks pages. They're not going to look the same. They won't be part of the same suite. You won't be able to get those as part of the bundles. It's a separate thing and it's not happening. It's not happening in May for sure. I don't even think it's happening in June. I do have something fun that's coming out that's going to be great for those people that have been on the fence and haven't started using the system, but I don't have any new big things coming out for people who have been using Family Tree Notebooks for a while. Okay, so we don't have a short list today of the top 5 ways, top 3 things. I thought about it, but there was just too much saved up, and I feel like it's been so long since I've done the FTN TV videos. And what I wanted to talk about will also sort of explain why this video is a different format, and we'll get back to the other format soon, but so this is the only video that I'm going to be putting out in May. And it's funny because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I've been seeing different posts and stuff like that. I have challenges, but I feel like I'm lucky in the sense that I don't think that my challenges are necessarily unusual. I think that I have challenges that come up that are just part of the normal part of being a human. But one of the places where I'm challenged actually comes up this month because my cousin, who I've talked about in different classes and things like that. I had a cousin who was very close to me in age. We were very close our whole lives until she came home for a visit from college on Memorial Day weekend and died in a car crash at the end of the weekend. And so May is a tough reminder of that. It's funny, but I think one, because it's Memorial Day, you can't really miss it. And two, it's weird. It's like my body remembers and May comes around and I do feel a little bit off and a little bit more tired. But something else that I wanted to talk about is, people will ask sometimes, well, how do I handle these difficult parts of my family tree, or the parts that, there's this person that I really don't want to work on. Something happened in my family and I don't want to acknowledge it, but at the same time, like, how do I get around it? Because it explains this, this, and this, because there can be, suddenly you've got a child who's not living with their parents, they're living with someone else in a different place because there's an event that happened. How do you talk about that if you don't want to talk about that? And that can be really challenging. Same goes for people who have challenging relationships, or, as is really common, people who have a lot of grief because the people that they're talking about in their family tree notebooks that they want to talk about are people who have passed away, and that brings up a lot of feelings. Interestingly, I always give people the advice of, there's always a way, just do what you can, things like that. But I wanted to confess I have a huge, it's not a blind spot, but I have a huge hurdle that I have not been able to overcome. So I wanted to talk about that, but also show you what I have been able to do. And that hurdle has come in the form of, how do I memorialize my cousin's life? I have all of the pages. I could create new pages. I could put together a book for just her. I could put information about her inside of my book. I could do all of those things that I would tell you guys to do, and I haven't done it. This year is going to be 21 years. It is still too much for me. I find it really overwhelming. Honestly, it's not that I don't speak of her, because I have, and like I said, you guys have heard me mention her in classes and stuff, but there's a point, there's still a point for me of grief where it is too much. And that point is, I don't even know how you describe it. I guess it's like more shallow than I would have thought it would be at this point. The thought of sitting down to go month by month and find records and find archives and build something where I'm just looking at her life for a long period of time as I put this together. It does not, the thought doesn't bring me joy. I don't think the process would bring me any more peace right now. So even though I feel like that would be productive and it would probably be nice to have something like that, I feel like even if it was a finished product, I would have a hard time looking at it. I'm not sure who I would share it with. It's very complicated, and it's been 20 years, but it's just very complicated. Her death was a very traumatic and disruptive event, not just for me, but for a lot of people in my family. However, obviously, we don't just go forward and pretend somebody didn't exist. So very shortly after she passed away, I made a collection. I started collecting things that had to do with my cousin. I was 19, and I was not expecting her to pass away at 18. So I didn't have a running archive. You know what I mean? It's different than when you're expecting somebody who's older and you're inheriting an estate and you've talked about items and stuff like that. I had a very hodgepodge collection of items, but let me show you what I collected. I had this book that had a scrapbook in it, and I was going to use the scrapbook for something else. Or sorry, not this book, this box. And this is where things have ended up. It's not wildly archival things. They're not, I don't have everything I tell you guys to do. The photos are not in sleeves. I don't have the newspaper wrapped up separately so it doesn't acid stain things. I just have letters and photos and different things. I mean, stuff just ended up in the box as I found it. And I had not saved all of the letters. I had not saved all of the photos because, again, I was 19. But there's concert tickets, there's other newspaper articles, there's printouts of emails, there's, notes written in pencil. This is my Kelly box, and I need to go through and move this stuff into an archival format. I need to put all of it together into a story. I need to do other things. But right now, all I can do is keep this box together. Realistically, there's nothing, it's not like anything terrible would happen if I just sat down and forced myself to reorganize this stuff, or if I sat down and forced myself to put a book together. But I don't feel ready. So what have I done? I've collected things and kept it safe. I have downloaded copies of every email so that I have them in multiple places. I have asked people if they have videos of her, or when people have photos of her. Everything is scanned and digitized. So I have all of this stuff online as well in a folder. So if anything happens to the box, I have the digital copies. What have I not been able to do besides putting it into a family tree notebook or creating some sort of thing? I have not been able to write to my family or my extended family and say, can you send me memories of her? Can you send me stories? Can you send me... I have not been able to do that. I always tell people you have to be careful with the human archives, especially as people get older, because people forget things, details get lost. You want to make sure that you save that stuff as soon as possible and get those records and record those. And it's so easy to just do a video phone call, or do a Zoom, or do a Marco Polo, or send a letter, or pull out your phone and record a conversation when you're having those in person. I can't yet. And I acknowledge that, and I give myself grace, because it might have been 21 years. It's not easy. It's just not easy. I know it's not easy. I know that I'm not in a place where it would feel good and healthy to hear a bunch of those stories. I need to there's a certain level of self-protection. And so the genealogy work is currently going undone. Why am I telling you all this? Why am I confessing to having naked newspaper up against photos, and to not archiving stories or doing anything to preserve these, oral histories? Because I'm not the only person who has an area, or maybe multiple areas, where they just can't. You want to, that it's good genealogy practices, but for whatever reason, you can't. I am not angry with myself. I am not disappointed with myself. I'm not going to let that stop me or make me feel bad about the other work that I'm doing. I'm not going to make it, or to have it be something where I just think, this is too much, I just can't continue my family history. I have other moments with my grandparents, who I miss very much, where I'm working on them, and, thoughts come up where I really miss them, and it's because I'm in there with their work. But it's different. So if anything, I'm proud of myself for recognizing that it's different, and for doing what I need to take care of myself, even though what I need to do is not in the best interest of my family history. This might be a really strange video coming from somebody who sits around and tells you what to do with your family history, and always promotes, save everything, tell those stories, make space and take space for your ancestors. But I will say, you have to protect yourself. You have to make sure that you're okay. And if you have a limit of what you can do, then that's your limit, and that is what it is, and it's fine. So that's what I wanted to say in this video. I just wanted to say, for May and Mental Health Awareness Month, that when you're struggling, give yourself grace, be patient with yourself. If there's one small thing you can do now that feels okay, then go ahead and do that. If the small thing is you put things into a box, but the thought of going through the box and putting everything into plastic sleeves is somehow just a little much, then you stop at the box. And maybe tomorrow it will feel easier. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. So those are my thoughts. It'll be interesting to see where the next FTN TV is recorded because it's getting hot and it's going to be hot in my car. I make no promises. In the meantime, enjoy the new pages. If you're headed to NGS next week, have such a good time. I'm already having like complete fear of missing out. There is an online at home NGS. So for those of you who are going to be at home, like me, we can watch those lectures and things like that. If you didn't know that was an option, you can still sign up for it. But yeah, it's going to be a really good time. And I'm excited because they should be announcing where the next year's conference is. And I'm hoping it's a little closer than Virginia, but we'll see. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon.